What's up, everybody? All right, so this was a really fun episode for me to do. It was with Travis and Linsay from Just Traveling, and they were calling all the way from Belgium, 9 hour difference, I think it was. This was a really cool one because I actually met their rig before I met them when I was in Mexico in a Walmart parking lot. We saw the rig. I seen the Instagram handle on there, so I messaged them, and here we are. It was really fun talking to them because there was a lot to learn. We're going to be doing the Pan American, so it was fun to pick their brains about where they are so far, how they've enjoyed the trip, things they liked, things they didn't like. So I think there's a lot to take away from this episode, and I think they have some incredible content, so you definitely should go check out their Instagram page and their YouTube. You will not be disappointed. So sit back, enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment, do the subscription, all that fun stuff, and enjoy the episode. And first, here are our sponsors. I want to thank Pour Off-Road Coffee Company for sponsoring us, for being a part of this adventure with us, for making these morning coffee talks, or whatever I'm going to call them, possible, and making an absolutely gangster cup of coffee that I get to have every morning and afternoon, and sometimes I have it in the evening as well. But yeah, thank you to Pour Off-Road Coffee Company. You guys are amazing. Veteran-owned. I want some coffee. Veteran-owned coffee company. They give back to the community. They always have some sort of giveaway, some sort of promotion on the go. So hit that link down below. Go check them out. Get yourself a bag of coffee. Tag me in it. Tag them in it. Let us know what it's like, because I'll tell you what, I love my coffee throughout the day pretty much, and I drink a shit ton of it, and it's delicious. So check them out. Pour Off-Road Coffee Company. Thanks again. We lived pretty much right there, and we were driving in, and my wife's like, "Oh, look, it's an overland vehicle," and I was like, "Oh, it is." So as she's getting the kids out, I'm going over to like look at it, and I see the Instagram on it. I was like, "Ah, I gotta check these people out," and now here we are. And because you guys were there for you guys are house sitting, I think, on your way through.
In Playa, yeah, we were house sitting twice, actually, 2 different houses back to back.
And from people that you knew, or just there's some sort of app to find people that need house? Like, how did you end up house sitting for 2 different people in the same area?
Well, we actually just happened to see an ad on Facebook, and we introduced ourselves. Well, I'm a dog trainer, and it was twice sitting with a dog as well, so that kind of helped us. I think
it was dog sitting, really.
Dog sitting and house sitting. Yeah. So yeah, we just replied on a Facebook post, and yeah, we were surprised that strangers would just trust us with their house and their pets.
Yeah, and, that's. But I mean, you guys don't seem like a couple of hoodlums that would, be at risk of stealing, or, you guys seem like a very well-respecting couple that, I mean, I'd probably trust you in my house. I don't,
thanks.
Yeah, that's good.
trying to put out that vibe there, yeah. Don't want the bad one.
Well, our whole lives are on the internet anyway, so they would find us.
That's fair. Okay, so who are you guys, and where can people find you guys?
Well, that's pretty simple. So my name's Travis, and this is Linsay, and we have a channel on YouTube called Just Traveling, and it's basically chronicling our journey from Canada down to Argentina.
Yeah.
But we're in a little bit of a
detour.
I don't know what detour.
Yeah, right we got lost along the way, and we ended up in Belgium.
Yeah, real lost, severely lost. And and your channel is also a play on word for Travlin, right? Did I see that? Okay,
absolutely, yes.
Yeah, for Travis. Okay, I like it. And then because you're from Europe and you're from Canada, right, Travis?
Yeah, Canadian, yeah.
So how did you guys meet? Let's get the love story in there too.
Oh, so I moved to Canada. It's gonna be about 3 years ago. I am a guide dog trainer, so I train dogs for people in that are blind.
Yeah.
And I moved there for work because they were looking for people there. And yeah, actually, the moment I arrived in Canada, I bought myself a van and I was going to convert it to drive to Argentina because that was my dream, to drive the Pan American Highway. And then we met. He was then also converting his truck, so the same truck that we still have, the Tacoma. And we got talking, and it's like, okay, so what's your plan with your vehicle? And he was like, oh yeah, I want to
Yeah.
drive the Pan American
Yeah.
Highway.
No way.
Yeah, and he was asking me the same. So yeah, we had the same plans, so we bonded on that right away.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
And yeah, one thing led to the other.
And where in Canada?
In the capital of Canada, Ottawa.
Oh,
Yeah.
crazy. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's funny because when I first saw your guys' page and I saw Linsay, like I saw you, and I lived in Ottawa for 9 years, something like that.
Oh
And
wow. Okay.
I have a friend whose sister is also named Linsay, and you guys look very similar. So I went,
No way.
yeah, oh yeah, and I hadn't spoken. This was 12 years ago as I left Ottawa, and it was kind of like an
Yeah.
acquaintance through a group of friends that I knew Lindsay's sister. And so I went in a deep dive. I was like, is this the same Linsay? Is this just a crazy small world situation? And I was deep diving, and I was like, okay, no, it's not the same person. But yeah, because I was like, oh, Linsay, she looks familiar. She's from Ottawa. What? Yeah, so I went
Yeah.
I went into a deep dive
That
on
was-
that one. But
Yeah.
no, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So what's been your path from you guys left from Ottawa, and then did you just go straight to like the West Coast and go straight down, or like what's been your path? What's the path you went to Mexico essentially?
Well, it definitely was not a straight line, and probably the longest way we could do it. So
we always go the longest way to all the places.
That's the best way to do it. That's the best way to
Yeah.
do it.
So we left Ottawa like mid-October last year, so coming up on a year now. And we went to the east side of Canada, but it was mid-October, so it was getting pretty cold. So we kind of rushed through it in about 3 weeks. After doing 3 weeks on the east coast of Canada, we ducked into, I think, Vermont or Maine, one of the two, and just started heading south along the eastern seaboard of the U.S. Visited parks and cities along the way until we got to Lake Florida. I think we spent about 3 weeks in Florida. Then basically beelined it to Texas in a couple days.
Yeah.
Visited some amazing parks like Big Bend there.
Yeah.
Then we spent, I think, another 2 or 3 weeks just driving through the Southwest. We had Christmas in New Mexico in the middle of some lake. I don't know, but that was pretty cool. And then Quartzsite, Arizona, we did a van life meetup for New Year's.
Yeah, that was great.
And then after that, we kind of got the process ready for entering Mexico. We entered into Baja. We actually weren't sure if we were going to make it that far. Because we only had 3 months in the U.S. due to Linsay
My fault.
having to get a visa. I don't have an issue being Canadian.
Yeah, that was kind of annoying. Only having 3 months to do that, we really had to rush to get through.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know. I thought all of Europe, you guys were like Canada, where you get your 180 days to go
I
through.
wish.
Yeah.
So it was only 3 months. Okay.
So
I
yeah,
didn't know
3
that.
months. It was a quick 3 months.
Yeah.
I bet.
Packing up every day and moving. Yeah, we didn't spend too many spots in one place.
Mm-mm.
And how was it going over the border into Mexico?
Oh, it was phenomenal. We
Yeah.
crossed, like I said, in Baja in the city of Tecate, and it was just the most easiest thing I've ever experienced. We showed up. We had all our paperwork already. We did all the tip online and everything, just so we had everything. We showed up. They did like a quick look inside the vehicle once, and then they're like, okay, go through the gates, park, and then come back.
And come back, yeah.
So we were like,
We're like, okay, we're already in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
yeah, it was funny. We came back and just had to get some documents signed, and yeah, back over. There was no one in line.
Easiest thing ever.
Super easy.
Did you go down Baja and then ferry over to Mazatlan?
Yeah, yeah.
And then once you got in Mazatlan, did you guys stick to the coast or did you go more central? Like, how did you cross over to the Mayan Riviera area?
We took the long route.
So you went the coast way.
No,
No,
actually,
we took like mountain passes as much as possible,
yeah,
going
Like
towards
Chiapas and
Durango.
stuff
yeah.
like that?
Good. We went
Not yet.
from Mazatlan to Durango. There's like literally one of the greatest drives we've ever done in
Yes,
Mexico.
yes.
Was like our first drive, and it was like
Amazing.
Highway 40, the Libre road from Mazatlan to Durango.
Yes,
Phenomenal.
definitely can recommend that. A lot of people either take the coastline
Yeah.
or go via the new highway, the toll highway.
Yeah.
Go via the old highway. It is lots of switchbacks, but just the best views right into mainland Mexico. It's so great.
And did you guys have any, like, how many check stops did you go through, and how many did you guys have any issues whatsoever at any of those stops or anything like that?
So I think we spent about 5 months in Mexico, and we didn't have a single issue. We did stop a lot at checkpoints, as they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But they're not looking for us. They're looking
No.
for cartel members or just anybody who they have, to look out for. But
Yeah.
everyone was super friendly. Never gave us a hard time. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I found too with Mexico is we had never been before. So when we got there, we only expected what you see everywhere else about, the Wild West of Mexico, essentially.
Yep.
But yeah, we never had any issues. We never, and I mean, it's very much so understanding that you're not in the first world, Canada or the US or Europe. Like you're I think just got out of a third world country. I think they just became a second world country, or however that works. But yeah, it's very, it's a completely different culture, as I'm sure you guys see. But everybody's so nice and
Yeah.
Absolutely,
patient and helpful. So I love Mexico.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like what now we went for a 1 month trip to Europe.
Yeah.
Showing Travis around a little bit. It's his first time, so we did that. And that was such a reality check on how difficult it is here. You cannot just park your van, like here it was with a van. You cannot just park your van anywhere and sleep in it. It's all a lot more complicated. While in Mexico, literally nobody cares, We
That's it. Yeah.
we slept in the middle of a town and people are like, oh hey, nice car, and talking to you, and everybody's like, this is awesome. Well, in Europe they're like, okay, you're gonna pay. Like you're gonna pay a lot of money if you want to park this thing somewhere.
We even
Really?
got yelled at a couple times too.
Yeah.
By
So it's a
who?
lot more challenging.
Like who's yelling at you? In
Locals threatening to call the cops. This was in Italy specifically, I remember.
Yeah. Italians are pretty fiery. We've noticed that the hard way.
That's because our plan. So we want to go to Argentina as well. So we want to kind of. Originally, we wanted to hit every province and every state in the U.S., cross into Baja, do the coastline back up to the Riviera Maya, and then figure out from Belize on. But we're kind of realizing that we might have to change our plans just due to the weather and due to this kind of trip doesn't get planned in 3 weeks as I thought it would. But then from Argentina, I have a sister who lives in England and I have a sister who lives in Austria. So in my head, I'm like, I want to, ship the rig over there and do the same thing through Europe, thinking Europe would be easy. But now it's definitely not as easy as I think it would be.
No.
Definitely not as easy as in the Americas. They really make you stay at designated campgrounds. There are no camping signs everywhere. So, and they can get expensive.
Yeah, eventually
Really?
it's not hard. We have to make sure that we explain it right.
Yeah.
It is not hard, but we are used to in Mexico staying like on wild spots, right? Where you don't have to pay. Like we are budget travelers. We try to not spend too much money. So it's not difficult in Europe, but you will be ending up paying easily 50 euros, 60 euro for a night. And of course, if you do a long trip, that adds up pretty quickly.
Mhm.
So did you find that, would you say Europe would be more similar to kind of how the US operates and how Canada operates in terms of where you can and can't sleep and that kind of thing? Or is Europe just in a league of its own?
Obviously, they're all different countries, right? So every country has their own rules. There's definitely countries where it's a lot easier. Now we've been to like very touristy, like it's Italy, Switzerland, Germany. There it is all a bit more complicated because you're in very touristy areas, and there's a lot of van lifers and not so many overland vehicles, but a lot of van lifers. And I think, and I understand it's getting a bit too much everywhere. So I do understand that they want to designate people into certain spots and then ask money for it. So we definitely understand, but it is also in a lot of countries officially forbidden to sleep in your car.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, like if you have a mobile, so you can have your car, either it is how do you say that, like written in, like registered, either it is registered as a car or it is registered as a mobile home camper. So if it's registered as a camper, you have no problem, but if you are registered as a car, you are not allowed to sleep in.
If you register it as a car, does it create limitations to what? Or sorry, if you register it as a camper, does it add limitations, or is it more money? Like, why wouldn't everybody just register it as a camper? Or does that mean now they can't do certain things because it's registered as a camper?
If you want to register it as a camper, I can only speak like for Belgium and the areas around here, is it has certain rules. I don't know exactly the rules, but it could be like you need to have a toilet in
Yeah,
there.
that's what I was
Oh,
thinking.
Yes,
Yeah.
you need to have a fixed bed. I'm just naming things. I don't know it exactly because I've never done it here before. I mainly just went with a car and just throw in a mattress in the back and and
Yeah.
go. So yeah, and also for a camper, it is different for like insurance and everything like that, taxes, everything changes.
Mm.
So
No, that makes sense. And so you guys are there now, and the truck is in Mexico still.
Yeah, it's still in Mexico. We left it at a friend. Actually, one of the people we house sitted for, we left it with them. So
Okay.
it's in a locked compound. We paid a couple $100 or a couple hundred peso.
yeah.
And it wasn't very much, just
No.
to leave it there.
Oh, that's good then. And then what's the plan? Like, how long are you guys doing Europe? Is it? I think you had mentioned that Travis, you're going back to the truck first, and you're
Yeah.
staying in Europe for a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so, yeah.
none of this was actually planned. It's we literally go with the flow.
Yeah.
So there was a reason why we had to get to Belgium. I moved back, well, didn't move, but I came back in June. Travis came in July. He only has 3 months. So then we have that problem.
Yeah.
So he's going back now, and then once my medical issues are over, then I will be also flying back. So hopefully by the end of November, I'm hoping that we will be reunited. But the Pan American trip will be going ahead starting from beginning of October. Yeah.
Yeah. I fly back to Mexico on October 6th. That's like 4 days before my 3 months expires.
Yeah.
So yeah, once I fly back to Mexico, I'm gonna go straight to Guatemala. Because I did Belize on my own.
Yeah.
Because Lindsay left, and I spent 3 weeks in Belize, and then I came back to Mexico and flew. So yeah, going right to Guatemala when I get back, and yeah, gonna start start the Pan American Highway again.
We'll make it to Argentina one day.
I mean, everybody that I spoke to that's doing this trip, it seems like, and us included, we have zero. We didn't plan all the way to Argentina. We have a plan about,
No.
a couple weeks ahead of time, and then kind of, like you said, go
Or
with the
not even.
flow and see what happens.
Yeah.
And especially when, when you're in Mexico, and I don't know what the FMMs or the visas and stuff for the other countries are, but there's so much beautiful stuff to see there. It's
Oh my
hard to
god.
want to just
Yeah.
rip through it.
Yeah, that too. We talked about that before. I used to be quite a speedy traveler,
Mm-hmm.
but Lindsay is the opposite of me, and she really forced me to slow down and kind of, take a minute. I
Yeah.
never expected to take 5 months through Mexico.
Yeah, and I would love to go back and see
Yeah,
more. Like we spent 5 months with Baja in it,
yeah.
and it was this country is so beautiful. It has so much to offer, so many different things as well. Yeah.
It's I'm excited because we spent our 2 years there. We were in Playa the entire time, and we traveled around there and saw some stuff. But one of the things I loved the most was the, and I hate saying the poor neighborhoods because I
Mm.
don't really see them like that, but I love the culture in those neighborhoods that from a first world country like Canada or the US, even Europe, you drive through there and you're like, holy geez, like this is, how are these people living like this? But then I don't know
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
guys did, but we had a neighborhood like that connected to our little community that we were in, and we would drive through it at nighttime. You drove through it during the day and you're like, oh my god, like this is very, you know hard living. But then you drive through
Hmm.
it during the nighttime, where everybody's out and the lights are on, the kids are playing everywhere because it gets dark pretty quick, so it cools down, and the neighborhood just lights up with this amazing culture. And that was my favorite part. I love to go in those neighborhoods and just interact with people, be around that, eat their food because it was so good, and
The
just,
food's good.
oh my goodness, it opened my eyes to, you know a normal neighborhood in Canada where you never see anybody outside and everybody's in their
Hmm.
house, to these neighborhoods that are just wide open, and the community is just incredible. And that's I'm excited to see more of that through Mexico, when we travel. Like that's one of the things that I loved it. That's everybody's so friendly and people are just happy to meet you. Oh, you're from Canada. It, it's just I loved Mexico. It opened my eyes to traveling the world and seeing what else is out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was my. I've never really traveled outside of Canada, US, so it was really eye-opening to me as my first real international travel country. Yeah, it was amazing, amazing experience.
Yeah, and
And
that's also why we go off the beaten track. We're always going to take, not always, but we're always going to try and take like the longer routes. Definitely, if it's a mountain pass, you're gonna find us on the mountain pass. And therefore, I loved, and I think you too. We loved Chiapas a lot.
oh yeah.
And there, if you then start driving those mountain passes, then you can really see the traditional way of living. People are even still in traditional clothing.
Yeah.
They are working on their land with cows. They're like herding goats and stuff. It's so incredible. And yeah, I really, really love Chiapas.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
really want to go back one day and see some more and spend some more time there.
Did you guys have any of the coffee in Chiapas?
We have coffee all the time.
Oof. Probably. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't remember.
yeah. We
Did we?
we
Oh,
Because
we
Chiapas,
tried.
that's one of their main things is their coffee. Is like that's every time I got coffee, it would say Chiapas on it. Like
Oh
that's where
yeah.
their
mm.
coffee. So that's one thing that I'm super excited for, is the coffee from Chiapas.
And have you been yet? Have you been to Chiapas yet?
No,
Oh
we went
man.
to the furthest away from Playa that we went was Chichen Itza, and then
Okay.
Oh
like Chichen Itza, Bacalar area, and that was the
yeah,
furthest
Yeah.
that we ventured because we had a new baby. Our baby was born there,
yeah. Oh,
and we had a 5-year-old in tow, and we have 3 teacup chihuahuas. So
Okay.
they're not, the three of them are just bundled up right now. They're not the best dogs. They're amazing dogs, but they don't go outside. They have their puppy papers, and so and they're a little bit older. They're 12 and 11, so it's hard
Oh yeah.
to
Oh,
get
that's hard. Yeah.
friends to be like, hey, can you come clean up my dog's
Yeah.
puppy
Mm.
papers and whatever accidents they had in the house while we're gone for a couple days. So we anything we did, we took them with us, right? So that's
Mhm.
little little stinkers. That's that kind of made it a little bit more difficult for us. But now that we're going to be, fully contained in the Jeep, we'll be able to. It'll be make things a lot easier. And now that I've done some traveling, because like you, Travis, I had never been outside of Canada and Florida essentially. So
Yeah.
now I'm like, I got the bug, and I'm like, I want to go see everything.
Oh wow. So you've actually haven't been outside of like the Yucatan Peninsula yet in Mexico. Have you seen anything else in Mexico yet?
No, we
Oh,
that's it. That's it. So
nice.
we're coming in same as you guys. We're gonna do the Baja Coast, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
ferry over to Mazatlan, and then I was in my head I was gonna do the coastline and curl back up to the Mayan Riviera, but I definitely want to see the mountains and do that
Mm,
travel because we had some friends that they did a little bit more traveling, and I'm like, yeah, we got to see more of Mexico. So not having being permanent residents, we're gonna really take our time cruising through Mexico and
nice.
try to take it all in as much as we possibly can.
There's a lot to see. It's difficult choosing a route, and we often found it like,
Mhm.
which way do we go?
In Belgium, we say, I don't know if you have that in America too, but in Belgium, we say choosing is losing, meaning you got to choose one, and then it
Yeah,
might be that you lose the other.
no
Yeah.
Choosing is
winning
losing.
scenario. What as dog trainers, I know for myself, I wanted to adopt every single dog I saw on the road because I've never seen that many
Oh,
street dogs. How
There's a
how was
lot.
it like? Did you guys have a hard time not scooping a dog up and being like, "You're coming with us"?
every day, every
There's
day.
yeah, there's dogs that we can still remember that we wish we could have taken with us.
It's for me. It's actually even a very emotional subject. Like the dog that I brought to Canada that I had for 11 years, she passed away 2 years ago, and she was normally gonna come on this trip. I'm kind of glad that she didn't have to because of just the temperatures are crazy for a
Yeah.
big shepherd.
Oh
Um,
gosh, yeah.
yeah, so we decided to not get a dog until we're done with the Pan American Highway, just because you have to pass so many countries,
Yeah.
and it kind of does limit you in a way as well. There's a lot of activities you can't do, and all this practical stuff is very difficult.
Hmm.
But we always have dog food in the car. We always feed and give water to the dogs, and it is emotional and painful as well to not own one right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
to not
Did
have a dog in
you?
our life.
What really surprised me is that I never really saw. I think one time in those 2 years, I saw a dog that was clearly, either very old or malnourished. But for the most part, every dog I saw was seemed relatively healthy in the terms of their food and their energy levels, especially in the evening times. Did you find kind of the same thing, or did we just have a certain pocket of area? Because we never really saw any dogs that were like broke our hearts because they all looked like they were well fed.
I feel like definitely in the Yucatan Peninsula, there's not a lot of stray dogs at all. I think on all the rest of Mexico, there's a lot more stray dogs, like a lot more
Holy,
stray dogs. And but it goes in areas. How should I say? I think in certain areas, actually, most of them, let's say 80% of the dogs that we've seen, they are somewhat well taken care of.
Yeah.
They find their food and they're fine.
Most of them are fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But then sometimes you kind of drive into a city, and for some reason, like all the stray dogs there are skinny and malnourished, and so I think maybe it is a bit of a mentality of that area at that moment. But yeah, we've seen some dogs that were pretty troubled, and it's difficult then because we do not have the space.
yeah.
Our car is literally built for 2 people, and it's pretty tight sometimes as well. So it's not like we can scoop up a dog and like take care of him for a couple of weeks and then. So yeah, it's been pretty hard on what to do in that situation.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever scoop up a dog for a couple weeks. It would be about a day and a half, and I'd be like, I love you, and I'm never letting you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going Guatemala. Do you guys have any kind of route plan for once you reunite and it's time to go, or is it just let's meet up in Guatemala and then figure it out from there?
Yeah, so our plan is extremely vague. We actually don't know where we're going to meet up. We don't know how long Linsay's recovery is going to take from her operation. So it's going to depend on where I am at the time, and I don't know where I'm going to be. So
Yeah, we decided like Travis is just gonna go over there, just have fun, do his traveling, because we have no idea anyway. And then wherever he is, we're just gonna make sure that we can meet up. I'll fly there, take a bus, whatever.
yeah, if I got to backtrack, half a day's worth of kilometers to get to an international airport or something, yeah, that's what I got to do.
And
Yeah, we're not the big planners.
which I mean, it makes for the best adventures, though. Like when you don't plan
Yeah.
what you're doing, right? What, how is it doing that you did it in Belize by yourself, I think you said.
Yeah, I did 3.5 weeks on my own. Yeah.
How
in
is it
Belize.
by yourself? Like, what's that like compared to doing all of Mexico with Linsay and then going to Belize by yourself?
Yeah. It was actually pretty difficult as we've been, side by side in a truck for at that point, I think
8 months.
8 months.
Yeah.
The first couple of days were actually really hard, being on my own because I'm used to doing everything with her, just like
Yeah.
like even hey, look at this thing, just anything.
And
Planning on
also,
routes and
I think also like setting up and packing the camper,
Yeah.
because we have a pop-up camper, and without any words, we like pop it up and we pack it down.
yeah, we
We don't need words.
got a real good system.
We
You
got a
guys,
system, so I can
you,
see him like probably waiting for me to push it down, and there's no cooking on the other side
yeah, it
to
seems
to get that part.
you kind of take over your own responsibilities and roles in the setup and takedown and cooking, I'm sure, and cleanup and everything. You guys probably work very cohesively together, and then when you're by yourself, you're like, oh shit, I don't know what happens next, because usually my partner does it for me, and so I can assume that would be a difficult adjusting.
Yeah, that actually wasn't too bad. It was more of the emotional. It was actually more difficult emotionally than anything else, because putting up the camper, I can figure that out on my own. It's just a little more complicated, but yeah.
You didn't have your person to lean on and talk to. I guess just the conversations. There's probably not much dead space, dead air when you guys are together. You're traveling, seeing new stuff nonstop, talking about it, and now all of a sudden you're sending her a picture on your phone or something like that, and waiting for the response instead of both. Kind of, yeah. I could imagine that'd be a difficult adjustment for sure.
Yeah, it was. It took a couple days anyway to get rid of the most of it. But I think at the end of it, I got used to it. But now I got to get used to it all
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah. The hard part is also the time difference, right? There's like an 8-hour time difference.
Yeah.
So he would be like stopping in the middle of the day, whatever he is doing, to talk to me before I go to bed.
Yeah.
So you really have to plan more on what times are you going to talk to each other
Yeah.
than what you would do if you were on the same time zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be very like, because it's not just a 2 hour time difference from Mexico to Ontario. It's like, well, like right now we're what, 8 hours difference.
8
So
hours, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
yeah. Was there any time in your travels where you felt unsure or unsafe of where you were and what was going on around you?
I don't know if you have the same area.
Oh, okay. Say what you want to say.
I mainly had that in the US. I had it a couple of
Oh,
times in the
okay.
US.
Okay.
Where there's certain areas where we weren't too, or where I was not too sure. I had, for me personally, I had it in the US, but mainly then with people. And then I also had it in the very beginning. We started with our pop-up camper and we drove to Eastern Canada, which was absolutely beautiful. I was terrified in the first storms we had.
Oh yeah,
Ah,
right. I
yes.
remember that now.
Oh, like you see a beach and you're like, oh wow, you can just camp on the beach and it's really easy there to park on beautiful spots. It's like, oh yeah, make sure that we have view on the ocean. And then you're parked there, you didn't think about looking at the weather. And in the middle of the night, there's a storm pulling in, and yeah, I was absolutely terrified that first storm that we had.
Hmm. Yeah, I do remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up, so I was born in New Brunswick, and then I did a lot of traveling, so
Oh,
I could
nice.
Oh, great.
definitely recall a lot of wicked storms
Mm,
in that in on the East Coast. Like I've never seen storms here in now I'm in Alberta, but I've never seen storms in the on the
mm,
west coast of Canada like I've seen in New Brunswick. So I could well imagine if you've never seen that and you're in a pop-up camper and you're not anticipating the violence of those thunderstorms sometimes that it would definitely freak you out. And then in the US, so it was mainly was it like around cities and the people in the cities, or was it certain camp spots and the people that were, the weekend warriors out for some drinks and stuff like that that kind of made you uneasy?
yeah, mainly that. Mainly when it turns dark, a lot of places change for the worse, and then there might be some gangs or what we had sometimes, which makes me feel uneasy. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily a dangerous situation. Is sometimes van lifers that kind of took over the parking lot,
Oh,
like almost trashed it and like lived there for a couple of months and
Oh yeah.
and that also kind of makes me feel uneasy. So yeah, in the US, for myself, I had it a couple of times where and we always decided, like, if one of us is not comfortable in a spot, no matter what time it is, we're going to move.
yeah.
And we've had that a couple of times in the US. I do not recall ever having that feeling in Mexico.
I remember only I can only remember one time in Mexico where I felt like I didn't want to go to this campsite because we look on iOverlander and we say, oh, this looks okay. So we go to this spot and I just kind of get bad vibes
Mm.
right from the start. So I remember only one time having those feelings, and we switched campsites. But other than that, I can't remember ever camping in Mexico and having any sort of worry, or maybe very minimal worry. I don't know. Mexico's been great to me, and I do remember in the U.S. a couple of times like that. Yes.
Could also be that it was because we just started doing that, and by the time we got into Mexico, we
Mm.
were already like 4 months in or something. You kind of get more comfortable with
Yeah, maybe.
hearing sounds or people pulling up. Because definitely in the beginning, for me, I guess I'm maybe a little bit more scared, but like you're laying in bed and all of a sudden like, oh, there's a car pulling up next
Mm.
to us. Can you see what it is? Right?
Yeah,
So you
that
get a
would
little bit frightened.
middle of the night, it's dark everywhere and a car pulls up, like yeah, that would for sure set off the alarms of who's in the car.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's good to be cautious as well. Just being careful.
Yeah,
Oh, for
not
sure.
being worried, but just be aware of everything that's going on around you.
Yeah.
Did you guys, I mean, on that topic, did you guys adopt any um what would be the word I'm looking for? Any like, geez, I can't even think of habits. Any habits? Like for example, I was speaking with Aim from Overland Priority, and they sleep in a Gladiator. He's got his family with him, and he said every night his internal clock wakes him up at about 1 in the morning, and he kind of opens the rooftop tent and looks around, makes sure everything kind of fits and rights. And he said a few times, like one time in a snowstorm, he woke up at 1 a.m, looked around, and he's like, "We got to move, or else we're going to be stuck in this area." So he packed up the family and they moved. And sure enough, he said, if I would have stayed there, we weren't getting out because we were by ourselves. So,
Yeah.
and he said another one he had mentioned is every time he gets to a spot, he does I think he said a 20-meter radius walk around of where he is, and he figures out, if I got to leave quick, this is what I'm doing, yada yada. So have you guys adopted any kind of new habits in that aspect of awareness and situational kind of awareness like that?
Yeah, I like to be parked with your nose heading towards the exit. If you're like, let's say, parked on the end of something, but sometimes with the levels, it's not that easy. And what else do we do? Like, it's been such a long time now for me that I've been there. We also always have like the keys on the same spot.
Yeah.
But also for us to pack up quickly, and I think we've definitely trained and timed that at one point. Is
Oh,
like,
nice.
how quickly can we pack up?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot involved. You need to like pull out the bed, and then a whole bunch of stuff needs to go up and down, and
I do like to have things put away when I go to bed.
Yeah.
Such as like my computer and stuff like that. I don't want anything just loose laying around in case we need to bug out pretty quickly. So that's just kind of something I like to have before we go to bed. Not just a mess. I want everything cleaned up before bed.
In the event of needing to go, you can just kind of go and where things are and you're gone.
Yeah, so it's just, like you said, the key is always in the same place. So we got to do very minimal things in case we got to go.
Yeah, I think like within 5 minutes. How much was it?
Oh, wow.
I don't remember. I think like 6 minutes. It really was not much. When you have to be quick, we can really be very quick in the car and driving. But then it depends. Are the tracks under the truck? Then that's a whole different story, obviously.
Because you're using the tracks for your level, right?
Yeah, for leveling, yeah.
Yeah. And also, we always pack our chairs and our tables
before you go to bed.
Yeah. Because even if you would put it under the truck or something, we've had a lot of times that people said our stuff was stolen. It was under the truck. It was in a campground. It was like, just pack everything away because whatever is laying around might be gone by the next
might
morning.
be gone, yeah.
That's I never even thought, like in my head I was like, we can just unpack everything, leave our setup, but like when you're sleeping and people are opportunistic when it comes to doing shady things, so I could well imagine that you want to keep your stuff well protected and safe. What's been, and Europe involved, Canada, anywhere, what's been the one place that was kind of your most awestruck moment of like, wow, this is just an amazing place, and we would come back here every chance we got?
Oh, wow, there's probably
There's a lot.
For me, like I said before, Mexico, 100%. I want to go back to Chiapas, Baja. I definitely want to go back to Baja. If you're there in the whale season, that is going to change your life.
Oh, really?
I was hoping. My dream was always to kind of see a whale up close. I've seen them from far, and you kind of cannot grasp the size of it. But I wanted to see it up close. And then in Baja, we were there in whale season. We saw of whales. We touched whales.
No way!
It's insane. It's insane.
Did you have to go on a boat, or like they're coming into the shore area, like docking area, or you guys were on like a whale boat?
Both. So you can go on a boat, and then they really bring you into like the bay where there's a lot of whales, and they come up and play with you. Like, we are very respectful of wildlife. We usually don't like interfere or at all. But like these whales, they were like, "Hey, look at me and pet me," and they're like blowing bubbles under your boat, and they're like spraying water at you.
Yeah, they clearly want to be played with like a dog,
Yeah, we call them like puppies of the ocean. We call them.
Goodness.
So crazy.
And
So,
when's whale
that was
season?
amazing.
When is that?
We went there in
January.
February. Yeah,
I
I
think
think it's until March
Yeah.
that you can go. So they go to Baja to have their babies and kind of
Oh,
bring them
wow.
up for the first couple of months. So you see babies as well. And even just from the shore, there are certain beaches on Baja where literally the babies are in the morning right at the shore. How far into the water?
Literally 5 meters, 10 meters away.
Yes, very close. Very close. And you can just see them and they're like I think the moms are like kind of training their youngsters a little
Yeah.
bit to fish in the shallow water and such. And also, yeah, we saw so many whales. It's really
It
insane.
was crazy.
For me, that was the most life-changing thing. I don't know what yours was.
So far, I think in Mexico, it was definitely the state of Chiapas. Just the whole state itself was just probably the most culturally and just visually stunning place I've ever seen. And I definitely want to go back. We didn't see everything.
You can never see everything.
We definitely didn't see everything.
Not in one trip, anyway.
Park in Texas. Never been to Texas, and that was one of the only stops that we did in Texas. And holy moly, that was amazing.
Where was that?
Big Bend National Park in Texas. It's on the Mexico border.
Okay. And why? What makes it stand out above the rest?
It's just in the middle of the desert. There's these massive mountains that just come out of nowhere. And we did a day trip where into Mexico. It was like this little it's a real border, but you don't need like a visa or anything or anything like that. But like we get to the border control office and it's an American guard. He's like, oh yeah, you can go over the day. Just let us know when you're going to be back. They're going to take you over in a boat. You got to cross the Rio Grande River because that's the border between the two countries.
Yeah.
We start walking. And it's just some local in a rowboat.
Yeah, we're thinking a boat is going to bring us across to Mexico.
Like a ferry.
It's literally the poor dude.
Just a guy in a boat.
Like an 8-foot tinny or something, yeah.
Yeah, poor thing is like paddling for his life to get us across the thing.
Yeah, that was quite the experience. So we spent like, I think, an hour in Mexico, like the town of Boquias, yeah.
But we spent 5 days. Until that point, we have not spent more than one night at the same spot. We've always moved every day.
Anywhere.
And in Big Bend, we stayed 5 days, I think.
4 nights, probably five.
Yeah, and it was very complicated because it was very busy back then. It was very difficult getting spots. And we spent 5 days, and I could easily stay longer.
An extra 2 days, yeah. It was just so massive. The vastness of this park, and you can backcountry camp and not see someone for an entire day, which is what we did. We did like some off-road driving in the park.
Oh god, yeah.
Didn't see anything or anybody for an entire day.
Do not underestimate the off-road drives in Big Bend.
Yeah, they're more technical than advertised.
Definitely where we were trying to go.
Yeah, we got into some situations there, which you can see on the channel. But by now, that's a long time ago. I was not expecting you to come up with Big Bend.
I still think about it once in a while. Yeah, an amazing place. Yeah, I guess those are the two places that stand out for me so far.
So, is there? Well, I mean, the fact that you're surprised that Big Bend is being brought up must be a pretty amazing place if it's still kind of at the top of your mindset, right? Is there a place, I mean, other than reaching your destination of Argentina, but is there a place where you're like, we must go here, this is a must go at one point or another, like we want to see this place?
Oof. Yes, probably.
I find it such a difficult question. I would love to see the Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would love. Yeah, that's something I would love to see, the Amazon.
There's one section in the Andes. It's called Cordilla Hiawatha or something like that. I can't remember the exact pronunciation. But it's just this amazing spot in the Andes Mountains. You can do like a 10-day hike loop throughout dozens and dozens of mountain peaks and stuff like that. And I've just heard about it for years. And I know, I don't know if you know who Dan Grech is.
No.
He's a Australian overlander, did the Pan American Highway and wrote a book about it. And I actually read it in his book at first, and it just the way he describes this place, it sounds amazing. And I've been Googling it ever since I heard about it, and I was like, this is a place I need to visit.
It's on the bucket list.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful. I've never seen mountains like that before, like not in person, obviously, just in photos and stuff. But I'm a fan of doing like multi-day hikes as well, and this is something that I really, really want to do.
Nice. And then, I mean, not to put the cart ahead of the horse, as they say, but once you're in Argentina and you reached Argentina, what's next? Are you guys driving back? Or are you going to ship it over to Africa? Where do you go from there?
It's the plan, Travis.
Well, our original plan was just to head back to Vancouver Island, as that's where I'm from. And we can stay there with some family and kind of sort out our lives or what's next. We're not sure if we wanted to drive it up or ship the truck.
Currently, we're thinking about driving it back up.
Yeah.
But we also were thinking we would get to Argentina in a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we're 1 year further and the truck is in Mexico. So
the timeline keeps moving to the right.
Yeah.
Yes, I think by the time we will finally then reach Argentina, we will change our minds a dozen times.
Yeah.
And we love changing our minds because, I don't know, we constantly come up with ideas, and that's so lovely. What I have with Travis is we can come up with ideas like, oh, it would be so cool to like drive from Norway to Africa. And then we're thinking about that, like, oh yeah, that would be sweet. And then we're passing there and there, and then all of a sudden we come back to reality, like, okay, let's first drive to Argentina. Let's first try and focus on that.
Yeah, but
we've got lots of dreams.
The answer is we don't know yet.
Yeah, it's an open question there.
But yeah, the original plan was to go back to Vancouver Island and figure out our life.
We don't need to figure anything out. We just want to get back there and maybe have a little bit of stability for a couple of months. And then from there on, we would also really love to go to more northern part of Canada and Alaska. So I think once we are back in Vancouver Island and we've caught our breath a little bit, then we're going to prepare to do more northern drives.
Yeah, because the Pan American is from Alaska down, right? We didn't really do the western portion of it. Like, we made it to California, but that's as much as we did. So neither of us have been to Alaska either. So it's another reason why we would go to BC.
It's, I mean, you could always just kind of go back to Travis's roots of driving really fast and try to break the record that is 11 days and I think 6 hours or something like that from Argentina to Alaska. So, I mean, that would be a fun challenge to break, and you'd get back home under 2 weeks.
Never do that. Like, we don't drive faster than 90 kilometers an hour with that truck.
Yeah.
We could never do that. Like, long drives burn me out so badly. I would hate that challenge, by the way.
Unfortunately, that's not a record we want to break.
Yeah, I like how you're putting it in there, right? You're putting a stop to it right away. Like, I would hate that, by the way. Don't even think about it.
Do not get that idea in your head. Yeah. No. We'll see when we get there. Who knows? Maybe we have like something to be home for, and we're like, okay, we've got like this amount of time. Can we make it? Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Well, I feel like from what I've heard from a lot of people, in the US especially is that Pacific Northwest area is like one of the most amazing places when it comes to camping, overlanding. I mean, you're going through all
Mm,
the national, like the big national parks and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
yeah,
And then when you get into BC, like Vancouver Island in its own, you do the West Coast Trail for somebody who likes to hike. Uh,
yeah.
I feel like if you guys drive back from Argentina, you'll probably hit BC, Vancouver Island, and be like, "Well, we're so close to Alaska. Like we could just keep going for an extra couple hours here and keep the trip going." But I mean, regardless what you guys end up doing, you've already done so much. Now anything else seems like it's all just you know icing on the cake of exploring and seeing things. So I feel like whatever you do is just going to be just as amazing as you could imagine, right?
Yeah, and we also noticed this year is that there's a lot of things you can't plan. If you would have told us in the beginning of the year, like, hey, you guys are going to be spending the summer in Europe, I would have said, like, there's no way.
No, I don't think so.
Um, so I feel, and definitely with a trip of this size, you need to treat it as a lifestyle.
100%.
This is our life now. Like, it is not a trip, it's not a vacation. So you need to also take your breaks. You need to also make sure that um you're well taken care of yourself, because it all sounds so wonderful in the beginning, like, oh, you're traveling and you're seeing new things every day, and it is wonderful. But after a couple of months of constantly being on the go and like constantly seeing new things, coming up with new routes, also our YouTube channel and everything, we noticed that by the time Maya, that we were very tired of it and we needed a break, and that's why we did the house sitting. And I feel in the future we might do more of those, or we might slow down a bit more,
Yeah.
because it's a lifestyle, it's not just a vacation. So we need to slow down and make sure that we can handle it.
Have you guys so you guys didn't do any Airbnbs or anything until you got to Playa?
No,
No, we
Oh
stayed
we
wow.
stayed in the truck
in the
every
truck
night.
every night. Yeah.
Yeah, every
That's
night.
that like I feel like that's a huge undertaking. Like you said, like I bet you guys were felt like you were in a different world when you slept in a bedroom. Like when you woke up in that bedroom, were you like, oh geez, where am I for like did you have that kind of like where are we in the truck? Like was there the first time you woke up in the bed?
I don't know.
It was definitely different after being on in the truck for 8 months. It's just nice to have some room finally, because first of all, it's a Toyota Tacoma. It's not big, so you can't have a big camper. It barely fits the two of us. So
For me, it's mainly sleeping. We actually have a nice
the bed
big bed.
the bed itself
The bed is pretty big.
yeah.
For me, mainly it is working space. We cannot have two laptops up, so that is like one thing that's a little bit difficult. Either one person is standing and the other one is sitting, or if you can sit outside, then you can do that. So I really enjoyed from the house sitting was like, you work over there far away from me, and I will do my own thing over here.
Yeah, because usually she would give me the table in the camper so
Yeah.
I could work on the
Yeah,
YouTube
he
videos.
he does most of the editing,
Yeah.
so all credit for that definitely goes to him. So I give him the comfortable spot, and then I kind of need to. Sometimes I sit in the truck in the front with my laptop, but you can't do that for hours.
Yeah. No, for sure. Um, and then a very important question is how do you guys start your morning? Are you coffee first thing in the morning, or like how do you guys start your days?
Oh, it's pretty calm. We definitely don't start rushing out the door as soon as the sun cracks.
Mm.
I definitely like having coffee in the morning, and we just grab our chairs, plop them down, sit there for a little bit. Yeah, we take it real easy.
You're usually up before me.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah.
Usually by the time I get out of bed, I roll out of bed. He's already outside having his coffee. Um, And then what we usually do, definitely when the weather is really warm, we try to either work in the morning or like enjoy our time in the morning. And then by the time it starts getting warm, we usually do our drives because then we can sit in the AC. Because yeah, in Mexico it's just extremely warm, and that is
Yes.
how we try to survive our days, is like doing our drives when it's the hottest of the day.
That's kind of the perfect way to do it. Like for sure, morning and evening is livable, and but during the daytime, you're either in a pool or in the AC some way
Mm.
somehow.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And how do you take your coffees in the morning?
You're the coffee guy.
Yeah, so we do it every single way. We do it instant coffee. I don't mind the instant coffee just because it's coffee. I know she hates it, but I've always got some on hand. Um, I do like to make like really good quality coffee though in a French press.
Yeah.
That's my preferred way to do it. So whatever, we usually just find some good local stuff. Usually
Yeah,
find it for a good price, like supporting local coffees.
yeah.
Um, if it's good enough, drink it black. I don't mind. She won't drink it black though.
I need lots of milk.
But yeah, they got these coffee mate creamers everywhere. Just in little
Oh, that's so
the
good.
almond milk creamers. It's
What Coffee Mate? Yeah, Coffee Mate is the
coffee mate almond creamer. Yeah,
yeah, that's the brand is Coffee Mate.
Yeah.
It's like a little square box, and you can have them with different flavors.
yeah,
But the best one is hazelnut.
yeah. Hazelnut. That's it. Yeah,
Oh, I
hazelnut.
miss that right now.
In
Yeah.
The
Mexico.
hazelnut. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we found it in Mexico. They've
It's
got
like yellow box.
yeah, it's a little yellow. It's like a half liter. That's the best cream. Little dash of that,
Oh,
and yeah,
good.
makes it good coffee.
Oh gosh, guys, that's awesome. But listen, it is now 10 o'clock for you guys, and I'm sure you want to get to bed. And I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. So thank you so much for talking to me this late in the evening for you guys. And I cannot wait to see the rest of your travels, and hopefully we can link up in South America somewhere as we're coming through there, and hopefully Travis doesn't drive too fast through there, and we can catch up to you guys and see some stuff and make some coffee for a morning one day. But thank you so much, guys, for everything. Uh, Good luck with your medical procedures that you had mentioned. I hope everything goes really well for you. And Travis, good luck.
Thank
Good
you.
luck in Guatemala by yourself. That's going to be quite the adventure. I'll be staying tuned to see how that goes. But guys, thank you again so much. I'm I'm learning from all these interviews, mainly because I've never been camping with the family. Like we haven't camped, so this is all brand new for us. So I
Yeah.
appreciate all the insight, and I look forward to seeing what else you guys do.
No, it's great. I'm glad we could be of help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we enjoyed it too. So thank
Awesome,
you.
guys. We'll have to do it again and have a catch up and see how the second leg of the trip is once you guys reunite.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good night, and we will talk soon.
Good. Stay
Okay.
in touch.
Take care.
Absolutely.
Bye.
See ya.